Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Live It Up, the show where we explore and discuss how to take your life to that next level and beyond. We cover health, wealth, relationships, and how to create a life that feels good. Because after all, that's what we all want. We want to feel good. Hey, I'm your host and coach, Fletcher Ellingson, and today on the show, we'll be visiting with Reuben Mayes, a former NFL player who played for the New Orleans Saints and the Seattle Seahawks. But post-football career, Reuben is now spending much of his time in Wenatchee, working in conjunction with Children's Hospital. Reuben has had an interesting and inspired and varied life, to say the least. And I want to talk with him and discover what he feels some of the most important lessons are that he's learned and what he recalls as some of the most impactful experiences he's had. You know, I love to visit with inspiring people, and as you know, I want to share those visits with you too, so stick around for that. But before we get to that, I do want to remind you that if you have questions you would like me to answer on or off the air, you can email those directly to me at fletcher@fletcherellingson.com. And if we use one of your questions on the air, I'm going to send you a copy of my Amazon best-selling book called The Practice of Feeling Good. If you've been following the show and you want to learn more about personal development and how to take on your life more powerfully, then grab a copy of my book on Amazon. Just go to Amazon, search for The Practice of Feeling Good, you'll find it. You can also visit me at my website, fletcherellingson.com, where I have all sorts of free resources there. Hey, the good news is you don't have to figure everything out on your own. There are answers and solutions and ways to get unstuck and move forward powerfully. Now, at this point in the show, I usually take time to answer an email question and offer some coaching, but today we're going to skip that part. I want to give as much time, extra time to our conversation with Reuben. So we're going to take a short commercial break, and then we'll be right back. Stay with us. Hey everybody, welcome back to Live It Up. So glad you're here. I'm so glad you're in this conversation. Today on Live It Up, we're talking with Mr. Reuben Mayes. Good morning and welcome to the show, Reuben.
Thanks, Fletcher.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, a lot of people know you from your football career,
Yes.
for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
we just had somebody pop in and say, hey, it's the Reuben Mayes. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we want to find out what you're doing now and why you're in North Central Washington. But before we get into any of that, we always start off with the wins. So share something that's going well in your life.
Well, we had a great Christmas, first of all. We have two boys, 27 and 30, and one is in medical school at University of Washington.
Right
so
on.
he was at home. Our other son, who's a finance guy, was at home. No one got hurt. We went skiing a couple days later. And so, you know, when you have two boys and you're trying to ski and do presents and all that, and no one's hurt or no one's disappointed with what they get, that's a good thing.
That's a big win, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, we like our mobility, right?
Exactly.
Right on, right on. Well, let's get to it. So you grew up in Canada, correct?
I did, yes.
And you got into football, and you were so good that eyes got on you, and they're like, hey, we're interested in this guy. You came over to WSU, you played there.
Absolutely.
And did well, obviously. And then you went on and had a very successful career in the NFL.
Yep.
The Saints, and then you finished things out with the Seahawks.
Yes.
Right on.
That's correct. Good
Right
job.
on.
That's really good.
Yeah. But then you decided you're going to go back to school.
Yeah.
And what did you go back to school for?
I went back to school to get my MBA. I know I didn't finish my undergrad when I went and got drafted by the Saints. And so I went and got my undergrad, and then after I retired, I said I need to have an MBA because I need to get back into the work world. And what does that look like? And so it's a 2-year program at WSU. I took a year off and did the whole program in 1 year, and it was pretty intense. Funny story, I found all the smartest kids and invited them to my house for pizza every Thursday night for study session, and they helped me get through MBA school and finish in 1 year.
Oh, wow. Impressive. Right on, right on. You know, they say environment really makes a difference,
Absolutely.
right? And that's what you did. You created an environment of smart people, right?
Exactly.
Right on. Good for you. And then you got into administration.
I did.
And tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so right after that, I worked for an organization called Christian Ministries, and I was part of a downtown Seattle program. It was secondary education, and that was my first inroads into leadership and managing a principal and staff, and I founded a school called Eastside Urban Academy. I transitioned from that. We, as a family mission statement, we moved back to Pullman, Washington. I started working for WSU in administration, and then worked for the business school. Eventually worked for the University of Washington Business School as an assistant dean. And then midway through my career, I transitioned into healthcare. And so the last 15 years, I've been involved in healthcare leadership.
Wow. Safe to say you are a lifelong learner.
Lifelong learner. I learned from early on that it's important to understand, what the gaps are in life, what are the opportunities when you have, talk about a bold vision. And when you have a bold vision, you don't have all the answers. You're trying to figure out, what's a pathway to get to where I want to be. Who are the folks that I can help support in terms of getting to where the organization wants to be. And so every day I'm learning new things. I'm failing in new things every day, and bringing that enthusiasm and curiosity and all those things that are so important every single day to thrive. And that's what I'm all about.
Yes.
I know it speaks to you, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Yeah. Gene told me you're going to love this guy, so I like it. So you mentioned something that caught my ear.
Yeah.
You said something about a family mission statement.
Yes.
Are you talking about your personal family?
Yeah.
Personal family mission statement.
We had
love this.
Yeah, we had a personal family mission statement, and it came accidentally. Our first son wasn't, thriving when he was born. He was really active and wasn't, kind of doing the things that we thought. And so we hired a doula, and the doula talked about attachment parenting, and said, well, we don't know how to be parents, and so what does that mean to be attached to your kids and you want them to be confident and when they leave the house and all of that? So my wife and I said, we got to have something that kind of helps us, guides us in terms of what are we trying to instill in our boys when they're young, and make sure that when they leave the nest that they have confidence. And so it's attachment parenting. So we built this mission statement around, we're going to do everything as a family. We're going to thrive together. I'm going to have an environment where I can see them on a regular basis. That's why I moved to Pullman, Washington, to be in a small town, good schools, no snakes and no hurricanes and all those things. And then we're going to have a season every year that's going to be a family season. And for us, that was skiing. And so every winter time, they didn't play basketball. We skied, and so we skied 20, 30 days every winter, and we've been doing that ever since. And so all those things helped our boys to be confident and to know that we love them, and they had different love languages. And my oldest son was touch, and so we'd always wrestle. He played the Division I football later on. Our younger son was gifts, and so whenever I was traveling, I'd bring him back a gift. And so those sort of little things that really helped us to be engaged with our two boys and our family in the community. And we just kind of backed into it, actually, honestly, we did. But we feel very, very fortunate that we had that.
I love that. And you say you backed into it, but I'm imagining that, it sounds like you're the type of person that's open to learning.
Absolutely.
And so you're just open to ideas and checking them out. And a couple things, nothing that I even was planning on talking about, but I want to highlight it because it's so important. You said you created a season for your family.
Yeah.
And that, I imagine, because you just mentioned you guys were skiing recently.
Yeah.
The gift you gave your family is just the gift that continues to give, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you guys created something that you can do together, that you enjoy together.
Yeah, and we had to be intentional about that.
Yes.
If you just let things happen, you got these assistant coaches that are having practices on Sunday, and this people will take your time. So my wife, who's a professor at WSU, we thought, we're going to be intentional about these things. And one was a season of the year that's just going to be called family. And so the kids didn't have a chance to say, whoa, we don't want to do that, because they were like 5 and 3, right? So we went skiing, and they were, would ski for a run and then go into Bunny Hutch and have fun and all that. So it's like one of those things. It was very engaging. So that was one example of how we incorporated that. And then we had family vacations, and we still do that. And then I have a father-son thing. So my oldest son and I, we have NFL weekend where we'll go to different places in the country and watch the draft. and eat some steaks and play golf together. And my other son, he likes to. We went to a Formula One in Miami, 2 years ago. He's big into car racing, soccer. So those those little things that you kind of develop as they get older to stay attached to them. And so that to me that's part of the process, right? Having a bold vision and about your family, because that to me that's the most important thing. My relationship with my wife, with her boys, in the community, that's what it's all about.
Wow, good stuff. And you also touched on the love languages, right?
Yes, yes.
And for those of you who are not familiar with this, Gary Chapman wrote this book called The 5 Love Languages and popularized that. And what I love about what you just did is, The 5 Love Languages is, at least the first book, I think was specifically or more directed toward, a marriage, right?
Yes,
or a primary relationship. But you can also take those 5 love languages and discover what they are for your children.
Yes.
We did that same thing with our kids, and it is such a difference maker.
Oh my gosh,
right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it actually initially started with my wife and I, because the NFL had these things in the summertime, these retreats. And Mike Singletary, he's a Hall of Fame linebacker with Chicago Bears, he became a friend, and we went to this conference, and that's when they talked about, chaplains were actually there, talking about love languages, and so of course I get the book, right?
Yeah.
How can I connect with my wife better, right? Because I'm doing all the wrong things. I realized I was doing the wrong things, and her love language was words and acts of kindness. So, when I provided these kind words and mopped the floor, did my chores, boy, that connected with her. And so it wasn't like the roses. The roses were nice, but you said, oh, that's really nice. But really just being thoughtful and, thinking about what her needs are and not trying to solve her problems, as well as doing my chores, and she had chores for me to do, and I did those, and that really made a difference. So to this day, we've been married for 35 years, and I know how I can connect better with her, and that obviously goes to our boys too. So same kind of thing. So yeah, it was a really foundational book for me early in my professional athletic career and early in my life, actually.
That is so cool. It sounds like concepts that are, again, continue to pay dividends.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Hey, unfortunately, gosh, time goes so fast. We got to take a commercial break, but and we haven't even gotten to why Reuben is in Wenatchee spending time here. So stay with us. We're going to get to that right after the commercial break. Hey everybody, welcome back to Live It Up. So glad you're here, so glad you're in this conversation. Today, my guest is Reuben Mayes. We're talking about all sorts of fun, feel-good stuff. But now we're gonna get to why he's actually here. Reuben, why are you here in Wenatchee? What's going on?
I work for Seattle Children's Hospital. It's the U.S.'s largest hospital by reach in the country, actually, 1 million square miles.
Wow.
And so it's based in Seattle, but we have 43 clinics in 4 states. And my role is around partnerships and philanthropy in Eastern and Central Washington. So I live in Pullman, I get to work remotely, and I cover the support clinics here in Wenatchee, as well as in Tri-Cities. We have a clinic in Yakima, and then we have affiliations and agreements with large healthcare organizations, and then we do other things around STEM education and career pathways. So those are the 3 things: pediatric specialty services, STEM education, and in career pathways.
Interesting. You know what surprised me was to find out that we have a clinic here in Wenatchee. I didn't know that, and so I'm not sure why I didn't know it, but where is it?
So it's on North Chelan, 526 North Chelan. It's a small clinic. It's been here for 10 years, and so even through COVID, it had a little bit of dip because of the not being able to come into the clinic. But last year we had over 1,500 visits.
Really?
And so we're too small for a growing community, for the number of specialties, pediatric specialties we have in the area. So we need to grow. And in that area around urgent care, urgent pediatric care, around mental behavioral health, maternal fetal medicine when there's complications or there's diabetes when in a pregnancy. There's people who are trained to kind of manage that. They're called the perinatologists. And so all those things are needed in this community, and we work hand in hand with Confluence, because they've been here for many over 80 years, and we're a partner with them in a couple of different areas, and we all acknowledge that we need urgent care, pediatric urgent care here in the community. So that's one of the big areas and one of the reasons why I spend a lot of time down here. The other area is around education. We talked about bold vision and about finding pathways. And imagine when you're 10 years old and you're curious and you take a class, a science class, or you take a math class, and you're like, wow, I connect with that. Well, Seattle Children's Hospital has a program called Science Adventure Lab. It's a 45-foot mobile. And they take that to middle and elementary schools. We have outreach scientists.
Wow.
And they do these experiments, really engaging ones around DNA, strawberry DNA, and asthma, and taking some skin and looking at the skin and seeing things move and testing and working in groups and getting, building that curiosity so that they continue on, because that's when you lose kids in that age range, grade 4 to grade 6. So we've been doing that since 2009.
Wow.
And we just built a second mobile. The first one, the new one's being built in Ohio for some reason. And so we want to put that mobile in eastern central Washington and do more of these experiences for kids in middle school and elementary school.
Cool.
We also have a STEM camp for high school kids to continue on as they aspire to have career pathways to be maybe a future physician, a scientist, a researcher. So that's our commitment to the community, to provide additional option for them to be involved in that.
Wow, that is absolutely outstanding, and so needed, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, is the vision that Children's has is to create a larger presence here in Wenatchee?
Absolutely. So, a larger clinic, first of all, to make sure that we call it that keep care close to home. We want parents to have the same kind of care as if they were a block away from our main campus in Seattle. So we have subspecialists here right now. We have a cardiologist here. We want to have more subspecialists. So if there's something happening in the Wenatchee, Chelan, even up into Canada, over to Tri-Cities, that's our reach for this clinic. We want them to not have to travel on the pass, especially in the wintertime. Or else if there's cancer, of course you have to go to Seattle for that. But having treatments, why can't we do that right here? So we want to, our commitment to the community is to make sure we have the best pediatric specialty care possible in the world right here in the region.
Wow, what a gift.
And then we also want to make sure that we expand our Science Adventure Lab program to this area. So we have that opportunity for kids, all the kids, to have that curiosity, continue on, have those people in their lives, that make a difference and keep them moving on and keep them focused or keep them curious about science and math. And then finally, career pathways, how can we develop opportunities to train more nurses? And partnering with the community colleges, and what does that look like? So Seattle Children's, people don't realize that they've been around for over 115 years.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was really founded on the premise that we will provide the world's best pediatric specialty care regardless of your ability to pay. So everyone has access to that, and we want to focus on that, but also all the other things around STEM education and career pathways is a part of that too. So that's what my job is, to connect with wonderful people in the community, to help make that possible, to raise money for that, to talk about what the vision is, what are the key people that need to be part of that vision going forward.
Yeah, very exciting stuff. I mean, if you're listening to this and you are interested or have ideas of how you might be able to connect with him or help him connect with it, I mean, get in touch, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What is the best way to get in touch with you if people wanted to do that?
Yeah, so a couple of ways. One is my cell phone number.
Okay.
That's the easiest one, actually, 509-432-8170. Okay. And give it to everybody, that's fine, and I'll get back to you.
Right on.
And then I have an email address. It's really easy. It's Reuben, it's with R-U-E, Reuben, Reuben, Reuben.Mayes at SeattleChildren's, no apostrophe.org. Reuben.Mayes at SeattleChildren's, one word, .org.
Okay, cool.
And then go to the website. They'll find me. You know, I'm easy to find. And LinkedIn also is an easy way. You know, easy to find. I live in Pullman, Washington. In fact, if you go to Pullman, Washington, and you go to the gas station, they'll say, "Hey, he lives right over there." So,
right on. So, tell me, why is this work so important to you?
A couple of reasons. One is, you know, when you're not feeling well. Now we've gone through a whole COVID epidemic, and we see the impact it's had on the work life, on families. It's changed a lot of things. But you get up in the morning and you're not feeling well, you're not very productive. We want to make sure that every child has the opportunity to thrive. And so when I had a chance to be recruited for this position, I worked in healthcare at other organizations prior to this by the CEO, and say, you know, we want to make sure that we are making this happen in every community that we provide those services. So that really caught me, you know, that every child should have the opportunity to thrive, to be the best. And if there's an ailment, if there's heart issue, if there's cancer, we have an amazing cancer area in terms of what we do. We want to make sure that those child have an equity. They have a chance to get through that with their families, and their families are financially stable also, and they can be the best that they can be. And that's why I took this job.
I love that, yeah. So that children can thrive, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and not at the expense of the family having to deal with a medical bankruptcy or something, right?
Right.
Yeah, the families also, there's some level of support there.
Yeah, you're going to get the care. And then we have last year, $23 million was raised in uncompensated care to help offset those costs. And so we have a whole department that's all they do. And also when you travel to Seattle, we provide hotel vouchers and food, gift cards, all these different things to make sure that families don't have to be in a dire situation, because that's all part of it,
That is outstanding.
Yeah.
And it's so hopeful.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I hear that there are organizations doing that, that brings me hope.
Absolutely.
And so thank you for the work, the important work that you're doing to help facilitate that and help so that can continue helping other families.
Well, I appreciate that, but honestly, it's just a privilege. You get up in the morning, and the privilege to jump in there and to fail, and we talk about that, to succeed, to be knocked around a little bit,
Yeah.
It's all part of the journey, and that's what I love about this. And it's not like a straight line, and so but the core mission of Seattle Children's Hospital in its communities is why I do what I do, and why I bring the enthusiasm and energy every single day.
Right on, and it's tangible, that enthusiasm. I love it. Reuben, thanks so much for being on the show. Gosh, I wish I could talk for you for another hour, but we'll take what we can get, right?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. And now it's time for you to get out there, be a source of kindness, be a source of contribution. You do have something to offer this world, and I believe in you.